Welcome everybody to Forza Motorsport 7, and today we're going to be taking a quick look at the Doritos car pack. And yeah, it's going to be shorter than the usual car pack review that I do for two reasons. One, I haven't got the time that I usually have when these car packs are released, and secondly, well, most of the cars in this car pack I actually want to give a video and review of their own. And yeah, the first one of those cars is this, the 1939 BMW 328, and yeah, this is the oldest BMW we've ever had in a Forza game, and yeah, I really am glad it's in the game. No, it's not the fastest vehicle ever in the world, and neither is it the prettiest looking vehicle in the world, but it's really rather fun to drive, and that's despite the fact that it only has 80 horsepower. And that's purely because it doesn't weigh all that much. It only weighs 1,830 pounds, and yeah, that lack of weight not only means that it's fairly decently quick for a car that only has 80 horsepower, but also means it's fairly fun in terms of just trucking it around a track. So yeah, fairly fun in that regards. So yeah, let's move on to the next vehicle, which is actually the oldest car in a Forza game ever, the 1926 Bugatti Type 35C. So yeah, oldest car we've ever had on a Forza game by about 6 years, I think. The Ford Coupe, the one that was on Forza Horizon 3, the barn find, and is a special car in this game that you have to get via other means than just buying it. So yeah, 95 horsepower and 95 pounds-feet of torque. Doesn't sound all that much, just like the BMW, but again, it doesn't weigh all that much, as you can see. And yeah, as a result, it's fairly decently quick. As you can see, 5.5 acceleration stat is not bad, and even the handling and the braking is pretty good for such an old car. But as you can see, it's ancient technology with that camber up at the front and the starting handle up there as well as the controls being somewhat on the outside of the vehicle. You got your I think the handbrake and the gear lever there on the outside. So yeah, a bit old-fashioned, but I'm again glad that it's on the game, because I've always wanted a 1920s vehicle on the Forza, and they've given us one of the rarer and certainly one of the better vehicles from that period. So let's take a look at the next vehicle. It's all the way down from Chevrolet, all the way back to 1955, and it's this, the Chevrolet 150 utility sedan. So it is somewhat like the Bel Air, but it's better as far as I'm concerned. No, yeah, it doesn't have as much power or torque, but it does weigh a little bit less, but nonetheless it still doesn't handle as well. But from what I've driven of it, it's more fun to drive. It's got a better gearbox for starters. It doesn't have that 2-speed automatic gearbox in the Bel Air, which is absolutely woeful. The engine actually sounds pretty good as well, and it's pretty fun to drive. And yeah, like the previous two vehicles, this will get a review of its own. And yeah, I'm glad they've put in a fair few classics in this car pack. But moving on to a newer vehicle in this car pack, let's go all the way over to Jeep, as they have the 2018 Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. So yeah, this has been a long talked about vehicle, and easily one of the, you know, top cars that I've wanted that are new, and that's purely because it's basically got the Hellcat engine in it. 707 horsepower, 645 pounds-feet of torque is absolutely insane amount of power to put in an SUV. And yeah, still weighs a fair bit, and as a result obviously doesn't have the best handling or braking, but yeah, I've driven this already and it's fairly decent to drive, far better than the stats would ever throw you up to would ever reveal, quite frankly. So yeah, another car I can't wait to give a full review of its own. And yeah, the final car that we're going to just take a brief look at is this. Load, there we go. All the way down, because it's from the 80s, it's from 1985, it's a Nissan Safari Turbo. Now this does kind of go against my you know, thing that I've been on about on this game, about SUVs not really being needed on this game, especially slower vehicles like this. But we've not got any 80s SUVs, we've certainly not got all that many Asian SUVs, and yeah, I think it looks fairly cool. It's certainly unique in that regard, in terms of how it looks, and in terms of the fact that we haven't got any SUVs from the 80s. So I'm fine with it in that regard. And yeah, it doesn't have a lot much power, 108 horsepower and 188 pounds-feet of torque from its turbocharged diesel engine, but it doesn't weigh all that much compared to other SUVs. And yeah, it's sort of fun to drive, though it isn't the quickest vehicle in the world. But yeah, this is probably one of the reasons, along with the couple of other cars why this car pack hasn't been all that well received. The dislikes far outweigh the likes on the Turn 10 trailer video for this car pack on their YouTube channel, but I really like this car pack. It's easily one of my favourites of, you know, car packs in general. Certainly better than some from like Forza 6 and Forza Horizon 3. So yeah, let's take a look at the first vehicle though that we're actually going to just take out for a drive, because this vehicle, along with another one from Porsche, I'm really not able to review, because for one reason, one is a racing car and the other reason is can't really explore the vehicle all that much. So yeah, let's get out there and take a look at the first vehicle. So this is the first of two vehicles that I am just going to take a quick look at on the track from this car pack, and it's a Porsche, well, the 1962 Porsche 804. Now this was an F1 car back in the day, and gave Porsche its only F1 wins as a chassis maker. Sorry. Yeah, because it won at the French Grand Prix and it won a race in Stuttgart on a non-World Championship race. So yeah, pretty historic for Porsche, and yeah, they're pretty damn good, you know, open wheel racer, quite frankly. Now I'm normally not a massive fan of these cars, because I'm not a massive fan of racing cars in general, but yeah, it's fairly good and pretty unique, quite frankly, because yeah, from this 1.5 litre flat 8 air-cooled engine, we have 188 horsepower and 113 pounds-feet of torque, which doesn't sound all that much, but this car only weighs 996 pounds, so yeah, really rather lightweight, easily one of the lightest cars on the game. And yeah, unlike other light vehicles that, you know, like the Isetta from BMW or the likes of the Bar 595, this obviously has plenty of power and a pretty high revving engine as well, more than 9,000 RPM, which is insane, as you can hear. Yeah, because obviously this is an F1 car, I thought I'd bring it to the Nürburgring GP just to see what it can do. And yeah, fairly decent, quite frankly. Obviously it doesn't have the kind of downforce that other F1 cars from later in the years have. And yeah, it's really rather bare bones, there really isn't anything to it, styling wise or technology wise, but does the job clearly, as you can see. And it's really rather fast. 0 to 60 in 5.224 seconds, 0 to 109.722 seconds, and it will go into a top speed of 174 miles an hour, which is fairly quick for a sub 200 horsepower car, that's for sure. So yeah, solid all-around vehicle. It's obviously my least favourite vehicle out of the car pack, but it's, you know, adds a bit of variety to the car pack, adds a bit of variety to the game overall, because I don't think we have any other open wheel Porsches on this game, so yeah, there is that, and it is just generally a solid vehicle all around, even if it isn't one that I particularly like or will get much use out of. But yeah, there we go. So yeah, solid vehicle all around, even if it isn't aching to my taste, but unlike some people that have been hating this car pack for no real good reason, I don't hate on cars. I accept them, respect them, etc. Even if it's not something I'm going to get a massive amount of mileage out of, because I know full well there will be someone out there that will get something out of it more than me. Nonetheless, let's take a look at the final car from this car pack. So this is the final car from the car pack, the 2018 Porsche Cayenne Turbo. So yeah, we already have a Cayenne Turbo on this game from 2012, but this is much better than that car, quite frankly. Firstly, because it looks better at the back, it's more powerful, it's better handling, and it actually sounds better as well. So yeah, plenty of reasons why it's fairly a good reason to have this car on the game, even though it is obviously another Cayenne, which again is probably another reason why some people are hating on this car pack. But one car out of 7 being a bit of a repeat isn't too shabby whatsoever as far as I'm concerned, and this car itself isn't all that bad, quite frankly. It's actually fairly decent in plenty of ways. I actually like the sound of the V8, which is twin turbocharged and 4 litres, and yeah, packs a fairly decent amount of power as well, 550 horsepower and 567 pounds-feet of torque, which is 50 horsepower more than the Cayenne Turbo from 2012 on this game, and 51 pounds-feet of torque more as well. while only weighing 12 pounds more. So yeah, far more powerful and far quicker as a result than the 6-year-old, well nearly 6-year-old Cayenne Turbo on this game already. And yeah, as a result of all that power, 0 to 60, 3.7 seconds, and 0 to 109.5 seconds, going on to a top speed of 183 miles an hour, which is really rather impressive. And compared to that Jeep Grand Cherokee Trailhawk, it's only 0.2 of a second down on its 0 to 60 time, despite having way less power. That's purely because it doesn't weigh all that much at 4,796 pounds, which is fairly light for a modern, really rather large SUV, especially one with such a big engine with 2 turbochargers added on. So yeah, it's a fairly impressive vehicle, quite frankly. Not only does it handle a little bit better than that Jeep, but it brakes far better as well. Not just because I think it has better brakes, but because obviously it has less weight to pull to a stop. So yeah, overall I really do like this car pack. Obviously the Porsches are a little bit less great than the other cars in the car pack, but that's my personal taste. But I still will get something out of both of the cars in some respects, and yeah, certainly there will be other people out there that will like them even more than me. But yeah, 5 out of 7 is probably the best, you know, amount of cars that I really liked out of a car pack. Can't remember the last time that I've liked as many, if not more than that. That's not to say I don't like these 2 Porsches, but you know, I love the other cars a whole lot more. And yeah, really glad we've got the likes of that Bugatti in the game now. Because yeah, I've always been aching for more cars from, you know, pre-World War II era and even older. So yeah, really pleased we've finally got a car from the 1920s. There are obviously far more cars out there that are, you know, classics, cars that are to be celebrated and, you know, respected, etc. that I would like to see in this game. But obviously the older you go, the rarer they get, and I really am surprised they found not only a Bugatti to you know, drive around, test around, take photographs of, etc., but someone that actually allowed them to do all of that. So yeah, hopefully it's a sign that we get more classics like that. It's just a shame really that the fan base has really been a bit toxic towards this car pack, because there really isn't anything massively wrong with it. Yeah, you can say that the likes that Nissan really aren't needed, because it's not only just slow, but it is more of an off-road vehicle, whereas obviously the Porsche and the Jeep may well be SUVs, but they are usable on the track. But I really don't have any reason to be hating on this car pack, and quite frankly I love it more than anything that I've played on recent Forza games, quite frankly, that I can think off the top of my head. So yeah, cracking car pack, well worth trying out, especially for the classics, the Bugatti, the BMW and the Chevy in particular, and plus we obviously have a couple of new cars as well. So yeah, all around solid car pack, and yeah, thoroughly pleased that it's you know, more than met my expectations, because the previous car pack was alright, but there was only really 3 cars in there that I really enjoyed. So to go up to 5, with all 7 being at least likeable, is a big improvement. So hopefully it's a sign of better car packs to come. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.